Good evening, everyone. Let's start today's meeting. So, Smeet, you can start.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Okay. So, good evening, ma'am. Uh,
Good evening.
so, the, so my assigned task is exploratory data analysis, on which I'm going to do my presentation. My name is Deepak Nalawade, and I am from Deepak College of Engineering and Technology. And currently, my stream is BTech in CSE. So, let's first discuss the content of our today's presentation. So, first, we are going to discuss about introduction of task and dataset. Following the dataset overview, the outliers and anomalies, also the data visualization and descriptive statistics, and lastly the demonstration and the conclusion. So let's first understand what is EDA and importance of EDA. So EDA stands for exploratory data analysis, which is an initial step for the data analysis process. It involves visualization and quantity summarization, which aims to understand the characteristics of a data set. So the first thing which we can discover by using EDA is the patterns in a data set with the relationship between the content and anomalies and the hidden insight which is provided by the data set. So what is data set? A data set actually is a collection of data. It can be in the form of numbers, words, sentences, etc. So let's understand our today's task with an flowchart. So we have been provided by a dataset which has a credit card transaction of over 2,84,807 transactions which were done in 2 days of September 2013, in which out of which 492 were fraud transactions and remaining were the normal transactions. So the non-fraudulent transactions were around 2,84,315. So in this EDA session, we are going to extract features like principal components as V1, V2 up to V28, which consists time and amount. So the feature classes, we are going to represent or a response variable as fraud value we have assigned as 1 and non-fraud value as 0. So before proceeding, we have to understand these two terms, which are outliers and anomalies. So outliers are basically the data points which are deviated uh, from the rest of data set. So these values are unusually high or low or compared to the majority of data. So the other term, that is anomalies, like outliers, are the observation which differ significantly from the rest of the data. So let's understand the descriptive statistics. First is definition, second is objective, and third one is importance, and the fourth one is tools and applications. So what is data visualization? Data visualization is the visualization of data, which can be in form of graphs, charts, etc. So first, this is a graphical representation which conveys complexity, enhance understanding, transformative, uh, also facilitates interpretation, supports decision making. So here are the types of charts which can by which we can visualize the data, such as bar chart, line chart, pie charts, scatter plot, and heat maps. So let's move towards the demonstration. So before getting into this, we have already imported or uploaded our dataset into the Jupyter notebook. So here, in the first instance, we have imported the libraries such as NumPy, Pandas, sklearn, and Matplotlib, which will help us in visualizing the data. So in the next step, we have imported the data set which I already talked about. So here we have imported the data set, and this is uh, so here it is. How it looks. So in the PPT slides where I discussed about the instances we have created, such as V1, V2, V3. So here you can see them. Then we have asked to show the data information. So there are around 284,807 rows into 31 columns. So here we have
Smeet,
to find. Yes,
Smeet,
ma'am.
sorry to disturb you in between, but nothing is visible. Only a demonstration screen is visible.
Okay, sorry. And actually, I was showing the Jupyter notebook.
So
So
nothing is
is it
visible
like
here.
that?
No, it's not.
Just give me a second. Is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible now.
Yeah, okay. So I'll start over again. Uh, so in the beginning, we have uploaded our data set in the Jupyter notebook. After that, we have imported few libraries such as NumPy, Pandas, sklearn, and Matplotlib, which are eventually going to help us in the visualization of data set. So in the next uh, line, we have actually imported the data set. As I mentioned earlier in the PPT slides, we have formed around 28 principal components, and here are they in the data set. So again, we have thought of getting the data information, which is more clear. And here you can see the number of rows and the columns. Also, before moving towards the data visualization, we have to check if there are any null values present in the data set because they can hinder the visualization. So we have in the line 4 we have actually checked if there are any null values. So our data set is pretty clean and it does not contain any null values. So the output has shown false, that there are no null values. So here we have actually plotted an histogram uh, in which the x-axis has the class and the y-axis has the frequency. The frequency is about transaction and the distribution of it. If you if you zoom in, and see, you can see a small line on the one number which we have assigned as fraud, and on the zeroth mark, it is actually the normal transaction. So here is a small comparison between the normal transaction and the fraud transaction. So here we have assigned one as fraud and 0 as normal. So in our total data set, as we discussed earlier in the presentation, that we have 492 fraud transaction present in the whole data set and 2,84,315 normal transaction present in the whole data set. So we have just described the fraud amount in a proper way where we can see the count, the mean, the standard deviation, also the minimum value, the 25th%, and so on. So let's move further. So in this above code, we have actually again compared the amount per transaction by class and amount per transaction in fraud versus in normal. So here by plotting histogram, we can clearly see that the number of transactions in normal is more than the number of transactions in fraud. So furthermore, here we have again compared the time of transaction versus amount of class. So here it is a scatter plot in which we can see the time of transaction versus the time of class it is. So here again we can see the data sample and the fraction. So the fraud value we have assigned as 1 and the valid or normal transaction as 0. So the total fraud cases are 49 and valid cases are 28,432. So here we have then uh, did a code for correlation between the classes, and here is the plotation of the above code. Again we are dividing the outliers. So the local outlier factor was 97, the isolation forest was 73, and the accuracy score was around 0.9974. The support vector machine was 8,515. So here, so basically here it is so this is how a exploratory data analysis on a data set works. We can find multiple visualization tools by which we can find the patterns, relationships, and the hidden insights present in the data set. So let's again move towards our PPT. Just so in conclusion, we identified the trends and patterns. We detected outliers and anomalies. Also, we recognized the fraudulent transactions which were present in the data set. With that, we we were able to visualize the data graphically for better understanding. If not exploratory data analysis, we could it was almost impossible to find a better understanding of the data set and identifying the trends as well as patterns. So it is really important to know how the exploratory data analysis works. So here my PPT comes to an end. Do you have any questions regarding the PPT? Excuse me, ma'am.
So, Smeet, are you done?
Yes, ma'am, I'm done.
All right. So, you haven't added any story in your like presentation when you were explaining anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, you have included flow charts, so that was a nice point. So, like you have explained whole PPT through a flow chart, so that was good. And other, you have also added demo portion, that was also nice. Okay, and
Thank
remaining feedback I will give you on mail. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am, sure.
Okay, you can stop sharing your screen.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.